Hello and welcome everybody. We are here for another Feel Good Friday where we speak to amazing guests with amazing backgrounds and amazing education. We put these Feel Good Fridays on to distribute across the Ambulance Victoria Paramedic Network, just trying to inspire and educate and have great conversations with great people in front of our frontline superheroes. So far it's been fabulous, but this week is exceptional. I have someone amazing tuning in at some ungodly hour on the other side of the world from downtown Los Angeles. We are speaking with Bobby Cappuccio. Bobby, I come across Bobby a few years ago now. I have seen him speak numerous times in the health and wellness and fitness speaking space. He's a renowned speaker and behavioral coach. I'm going to hand over to you, Bobby, because I'm going to do your bio no justice, sir. So over to you, buddy. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for having me. Like when you were talking about, I've got somebody amazing on, I was like, you told me I was on tonight. I stayed awake all night for this. Like, what are you doing? So, yeah, happy to be here. And where do you want me to start?
Oh, well, all right. I would love you to start. Obviously, I have given the guys a brief overview on some of the adversities you faced, obviously, when you were first growing up and the things that you went through. And I've also given them a snapshot of where you are now and what you've created and what you've done. I would love you to maybe touch on your childhood, where you came from, some of the things you faced, and what it was like to grow up through that, and then we'll just go from there.
Well, it was a bit messy. That's kind of a hard question. What was it like to grow up like that? Because when you're growing up like that, you don't know anything different. So if you would have asked me when I was a kid, well, what's childhood like? It is what it is. It's in retrospect that you look back and you go, wow, that was shocking. It's kind of like the next morning when you wake up and you check your mobile and you realize that drunken text that you sent to your ex was much worse of an idea than it actually seemed like it would have been when you were like 7 years in and you thought, yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Apparently a lot. So, you know, for me, I didn't even realize that I was different until I was about 5 years old, until you start getting around other kids. So, you know, I was born, which that bit is probably obvious to a lot of people watching this right now. And I was put up for adoption, and I was disfigured and physically deformed. My legs were a little bit mangled. Don't know, what happened there. Just had some neurological issues. Just walked on my toes a lot. And my face was disfigured. It was not exactly a cleft lip. It was something different. Like the face didn't completely form. And when I got around other kids at about 5, they let me know that I looked very different. So that was interesting when you first realize I'm not like everybody else, and not in a really special way either. I'm just trying to extract what's relevant here, and what's going to be like, all right, yeah, so what? I don't want to go on and on with the chronological account of what happened, but I was adopted. My adopted father died when I was like 2, so I have no recollection of it. But I do have recollection of the person who my adopted mother started dating after that. He was a complete psychopath. And I mean that with affection. It was probably one of his better qualities, unfortunately. And from that point on, my life started spiraling into extremely violent, abusive, and sometimes substance abusing hell by the age of 10. I think it's not exactly, and this is such a cliche, God, I hate it when people say things like this, but it truly isn't what is happening to you as much as how you're interpreting this. And how I interpreted this growing up as a teenager was very different than how it was reframed to me by a guy I met when I must have been like 19 years old. So I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. So I grew up in a really, not even a violent household, but a violent neighborhood. Had Tourette's at about, like, I was diagnosed at about 9. And one of the things that you buy into, and you buy into it because you hear it enough, you assume, okay, this is just reality, is that I was kind of brain damaged and that I wasn't very clever. And because people were saying it at home and my teachers were saying it, so I thought, oh, this can't, all can't be wrong. And then I get my first real job out of high school. I'd been working since I was 10 years old, but this was the first job I got, like, after high school, at the same time I was going to college. And everything changed for me because I made a decision. I started working with other trainers at a Gold's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. I thought, all right, if I'm not really clever, I know I need to work and I know I need the money. So I'm just going to work harder than anybody else because that I can do. I can put a little bit of effort and work ethic into my job if I can't be really switched on like the other people that'll be working there. So that didn't really work out very well for me because one of the things I thought was, like, I'll just clean equipment all day long. Nobody told me to do it, but I'll just do everything I can to keep the gym in top condition, and maybe that'll be enough to keep my job. But like one day I was spraying down the equipment with WD-40, but I didn't realize there was a person exercising on a piece of equipment behind it. So I was actually spraying down one of the members in the face with WD-40. So they complained, and they ran upstairs to the owner of the gym. And this guy kind of looked like Bugsy Siegel mixed with Burt Reynolds, which is a terrifying combination. I know that if you're trying to conceptualize that, it looks horrifying. So it was really intimidating, this guy Mitchell. Became one of the most important people in my life. And he's like, who's this guy? And he literally sounded like that. Grew up in Staten Island, consummate New Yorker. And in Gold's Gym, we had the upper floor, which went all the way around the pit, which was the bottom floor. So at any point up top, you can look down into the first floor and see exactly what was going on in the gym. So he walks over and looks at me, and I'm just like running around doing like crazy stuff, putting away dumbbells, cleaning up things, like spot cleaning. He's like, get that guy in my office. So I go to his office. He's sitting there. He's got his feet up on his desk. He's got his hands folded. And he starts asking me a few questions. I don't even remember exactly what the questions were, but I remember he scared the shit out of me. And as we started speaking, we started getting on fairly well. I became his personal trainer within the next couple of weeks. And he kind of showed me my first lesson in coaching. Dr. Roy Sugarman. Have you ever heard him speak, Tiff?
I think that I have. I know the name, and I'm pretty sure I've heard, unless I've just heard of, I think Christian's talking.
So Christian knows who he is.
Yeah.
Roy's a really clever guy. He's got the dubious distinction of being a sports psychologist. He not only understands a lot of theory, but he's a neuroscientist who actually works with clients in the health and fitness field. He's done a lot of work with Mark Verstegen over here in the US. He's done work with Exos. Get a lot of value out of him. He's fond of saying, like, you're not the sage on the stage, you're the guy by the side. And that was my first real lesson in coaching. That it's not so much about taking the position of an expert, but respecting the other individual as the expert and authority in their own life. And he allowed me to do that. I had a lot of enthusiasm by the time I was 19. I just didn't know what that meant or what way that was going to show up. So it was kind of like analogous to an octopus on rollerblades, a lot of motion, but no real direction. So I started working with Mitchell, and what he showed me is that a great guide does exactly what you would hire a guide to do. You want to take a journey, but you don't have the skill sets, the foresight, or the insight to understand how you're going to make it through. And sometimes you can't even see yourself going the full distance of where you want to be. So all the guide does is they help you go as far as you can see, because once you get there, then you'll be able to see further. And that was how Mitch showed up for me in my life. And at one point, I walked into the gym, and Mitch looked at me and said, come on, we're going for a ride, get in the car. And this was scary because I know people have gone for a ride in the car, and every time they've gone for a ride in the car with Mitch, they weren't going for ice cream. So I got a little bit nervous, and the first thought in my head was, what exactly did I do wrong? Well, he puts me in the car, and he wanted to articulate something that he wasn't sure he had the ability to. So he puts in this tape of Dr. Dennis Waitley, The Psychology of Winning. And we're driving around like the New York area, which is very expensive. There's a lot of tolls. And we're going back and forth, borough to borough. And I'm listening to this tape. And I got so inspired because this was the first time I realized that by taking in and just not trying to analyze, but really accepting ideas, you can start to shift your mind. And when you start to shift your mind, you start to shift your possibilities. And it was the first time I started to have an idea about what it was that I wanted to be and have and do. And a couple of weeks after that, I came into the facility and Mitchell had said, you know, sit down. We had a consultant, this guy, Ray. And I'm sitting down in this restaurant and Mitchell's here, Ray's over here. He said, well, we've got a promotion for you. And we want you to be, you know, the head trainer in the facility. When he said that, I thought he was offering me a choice whether or not I wanted to take the job. So when I started working with Mitchell, I didn't know I had skill sets. I didn't know that I could be good at anything. And then by Mitchell really taking time and taking attention and care, I got to the point where I knew I was empathetic enough, because the reason why I wanted to get into the fitness in the first place is I walked around my neighborhood until I was 16 years old. That's when I got my first facial cranial reconstructive surgery. I mean, now a lot of people look at me when I tell them I was completely disfigured in my face. They don't believe like it could have been worse than this, but it actually was. And I didn't get my first surgery until like 17. Then I got my second and third surgery at 18. So I had gone through a lot of shit, and with all the things that I struggled through, feeling incomplete and being physically ashamed of myself out in public, to the point where I got into exercise, not so I could develop my body, not so I could be better at sport, and definitely not so I could improve my physical appearance, because I didn't think there was any way to do that. I did it so I could become inconspicuous and I could lock myself in an activity where I didn't require anybody else, where it could be escapism and a reprieve from being me. And when I engaged in it, I could be in a world all alone, just me. So I started, something interesting started happening where I became a voracious reader, not of anything scientific or legitimate. I got my information from Muscle and Fiction magazine, but for me, I didn't know that. I started to share the information with reckless abandon because when I was about 16, I started producing really great results in the gym. And then instantly, the person who nobody ever wanted to talk to, people would ask me questions about what I was doing for training. And I would answer them. And then I thought, wow, so something that I'm doing right now for my own mental health, I didn't call it mental health, but for my own mental health has value for other people. And I started to think, what is it that someone who's overweight or obese feels like every day? Now, I've never been overweight, I've never been obese, but I know what it's like to feel complete dissatisfaction based on your mental and physical state. And I thought, these people do not require intensive and very invasive surgery. Maybe there's something I can do to help. So the tool that I had that was extraordinarily valuable, even before I had any scientific validity behind my methodology, was empathy. And I thought, okay, now being empathetic, I was able to communicate through a medium with my clients that allowed me to do more than make a living. It allowed me, in my mind, to make a difference. And this guy sitting across from me saying, we're going to promote you now to your level of incompetence. I said, no, thanks. I'm very comfortable where I'm at. And Mitchell said, well, I think you misunderstood. in this company, there are two directions. There's up and there's out. So you just chose out. And he fired me. So I'm dejected. I'm going into the back of the gym. I'm cleaning out my locker. And as I'm walking out of the gym, Mitch was like, hey, Bob, come here. And like, what? He's like, well, look, bad break. There's a rumor going around that you're recently unemployed, bastard, right? He said, so what I'm guessing is you might have your days freed up. You might have some spare time in your hands. Tell you what, I don't know if you know this, but we're interviewing for a management position this week. If you got nothing better going on, why don't you like iron a shirt, come in and see how you do? So I thought, all right, good advice. Came in, I got the job, amazing. And I was the worst manager I think anybody has ever worked with. I was the worst manager I know of. I never worked for anybody that was as bad as I was. Because when I got hired, I misunderstood the nature of my work. And for me, my major definite purpose was that I was a fraud. I was promoted just because I had a relationship with Mitchell. And at any point, Mitchell was going to find out that he had made a mistake. And what he actually did was promote an idiot. He knew that going in. That wasn't the point. And my whole motivation for the job was don't disappoint Mitchell, because then that'll be humiliating and he'll never have faith in you again. So what do you think it was like to work with me? It was very much command and control. I was in the gym 15 hours a day. I expected people that were working with me to be in the gym 15 hours a day. I was completely unreasonable. And because of that, I lost half of my team in about 30 days. So I wasn't doing well. But Mitchell believed in the power of oration. He believed that when you get a group of people together that are invested in a common interest, and you're able to share with them, and you're able to speak from a public speaking perspective, it generated a level of energy in the room. It helped to facilitate enrollment. Now, enrollment's different than compliance, where, okay, I work here, and therefore I accept what you tell me to do. Enrollment is something deep and it's visceral. It's personal and emotional. So it goes from the company to our company, from them to we. So he invites me to this meeting. And we had all three of our facilities there. So we must have had not a lot of people, but about 100 people in this massive group X room. And he's in front of the room and he's going over things that were critical. And the department heads are getting up and they're all speaking. And then he looks at me and says, Bob's going to get up now. And he's going to explain to us, because he's pretty new in his position, how he's going to make this company a cooler, more dynamic, and more competitive place to be. I had no clue what any of those words meant. I had no idea how we were going to do any of that, but everybody started applauding. So I get up to speak. I don't know if you've ever had this situation, whether in school or at work, where you have to get up and present something, and your time comes when you weren't prepared for it. You might have been prepared for it psychologically, but not emotionally. So they introduce you and you stand up, but your brain sits right back down. That was the situation that I was in at that moment. And God, I'm kind of dating myself, but in Brooklyn, we kind of had, does anybody remember the T. Michaels athletic gear? Like that the bodybuilders used to wear? Like, so if you were stylish enough to own like one of those string tank tops, those were attractive, weren't they? The bottoms would be these things that would taper to your ankles, kind of show off your calves, and then they would balloon out into like these MC Hammer type of, not as extreme, but kind of that's the idea. I was wearing those. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I had a lot of change in my pockets and a big set of keys. And I was so nervous. This was going so tragic. I was standing silently in front of the room. And out of respect for Mitchell, nobody said a word. And all you could hear was the sound of my change rattling in my pockets. And I thought, I need to say something or else this is going to go from tragic to a complete nightmare. And the only thing I could remember was Dr. Dennis Waitley's track 4, positive self-direction. So yeah, I plagiarized. And I said it with intensity, not because I was inspired, but because if I didn't put intensity behind my words, I knew that no words would come out. It would just be like some awkward, creepy squeal. So didn't want to do that at that point. And after I went through my bid, I got a standing ovation and a sympathy mostly. But then something happened. That week, when I would be in my office, pretending to do work that I knew how to do, people would knock on the door and they would ask, "Oh, can I just have a chat with you?" And they would sit down and say, "You know, before I heard you talk about, you know, like whatever you were going on about the other night, and talk about how that related to your fitness journey, you know, this was like a temporary job until I got kind of quote unquote a real job." I love to hear that in the fitness industry. It's like, I'm inspired. I want to do this. You know, would you coach me? And I needed somebody to coach me. But something went off in my head. I had a revelation that all you need is one thing that has value, that if you're passionate about something, and it's not about the outcome, it's not about, well, I'm going to go to work and then, you know, I'll get this promotion or I'll get this paycheck, but the payoff is in the process itself. We're going to work and doing the job in and of itself is rewarding, and other people get enormous value out of that. I can be screwed up in every other area. And, you know, maybe I am stupid. Maybe I, you know, because I do actually have brain damage. I worked with a neuroscientist, Andrew Hill, a couple of years ago. He was the last person that did an evaluation of my brain. He said, I've, you know, probably had minimum 6 concussions. I was put on Haldol. I don't know if any of you know what that is. It was an experimental drug. It's a last resort antipsychotic now. When I was like 9 years old, they put me on it for Tourette's because they didn't really know what they were going to use it for. They thought, yeah, I reckon if it doesn't kill them, it might kind of help. It didn't do either. It didn't help me, and it obviously did kill me. So from that and a lot of emotional, not just physical trauma, you know, I might have been this brain damaged kid, but it didn't matter anymore because I had something that I could focus my attention on that paid dividends to people around me. It wasn't just for me. I had a path, and my career path was doing everything I could and going to work for other people and helping them build their career path. So that was one lesson I learned, you know, working at Gold's Gym. The second lesson was there was another consultant that came in. We had a lot of consultants because we needed a lot of help. And his name was Jamie. And he sat me down because I wasn't doing all that much better at this point. I started establishing a relationship with the people on my team, which is first and foremost. If you do not love, and I'm not afraid to use that word, I mean it very specifically and literally, if you don't love the people on your team, you're not going to be much of a leader. But I didn't have anything else really going for me in my position. And Jamie sat me down and I said, you know, let me just ask you a couple of questions. Who do you work for? And my initial answer was, I work for Mitchell. He owns the gym. What do you think? Okay, stupid question. He's like, really? Do you? He's like, who else do you work for? So I named the general manager of the facility, Brian. I named the director of fitness, Will. And he's like, no, but tell me who you work for. And after a while, I was starting to get a little bit annoyed. I'm like, this guy's really thick. I don't understand why they brought him in as a consultant. It's a pretty simple answer to a simple question. He said, well, you know, you didn't really mention anybody on your team. Who's on your team? Who are your trainers? I started going through my trainers. He said, so let me ask you a question. Who do you work for? I'm just like, this guy's really annoying. And then I got it. I got what he was trying to tell me. He said, well, the people like Mitchell and Brian and Will, you don't work for them. They work for you because you're in closer proximity to the customer than they'll ever be. And unless you can go and meet every person that connects with the fitness department, you're not the most important person in your role. As a matter of fact, none of your trainers work for you. You work for them. Why don't you imagine this? for the next 30 days. And if it doesn't work out, you can go back to doing whatever you were doing. No thanks. Imagine that your trainers all got together and they pooled their life savings and they bought a gym. The problem is they don't know what they're doing. So they hired you as a consultant. Who would you work for in that scenario? Okay, in that scenario, I would work for my team. I would work for my trainers. So why don't you get in your head that that's your role, and do in every interaction, go about it as if you were their employee and you were there to guarantee their success. And my career changed within a few weeks after that. I don't even know if any of this is even answering your question, It's just, it seemed better when this happened than that happened. I was 10, there was this birthday party, and there was this girl, not 10. I didn't get into women until I was like 18, which is not true. Women didn't get into me until I was like, okay, they never really got into me, but at 18 it got better. So anyway.
Tell me about, Robbie, you mentioned Tourette's a lot. Tell me about what that was like, what you physically suffered, how long that went in for, how it impacted you, and how you moved on from it.
Okay, how do I describe Tourette's? It was a lot of, well, shit, fuck, whore. So that happened quite a lot. But
I feel sad right now that knowing you've got Tourette's, you haven't screamed any random profanities.
It's very disappointing, right? You're gonna have a Tourette's guy on. He doesn't even say anything inappropriate. Doesn't scream profanities uncontrollably. It's kind of like I'm like a poor man's Tourette's guy. It was much worse when I was younger. It's like discount Tourette's. When I was 9 years old, the symptoms they came on suddenly, and they were pretty severe. So out of nowhere, like one day, I didn't know that I was having facial tics, but I could feel myself going through it. I didn't know what it was until my adopted mother would just, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? I was like, I don't know. And then for the next few weeks, I would have vocal tics, which is, it wasn't really profanities at that point. It's just weird sounds that you're making. So you gotta understand, like, I'm growing up in Coney Island, Brooklyn, and I'm a little tiny kid with massive, like, Coke bottle glasses. And, like, I'm wearing clothes from a couple of years ago that don't fit me. I've got a disfigured face, and now I have vocal and facial tics, and I'm making weird noises in class. I mean, that was a recipe for please kick the living shit out of me on a daily basis. So that was fun. And it started becoming more and more consistent. So this went from something that would happen a couple of times a day to this was just consistently what was happening in my body. And my step-parents thought that they could beat it out of me. And if they would beat me in public, like if every time I would have a facial tic, they would yell at me and punch me in the face in front of other people, I would be so embarrassed that I would just stop having facial tics. Well, that parental strategy did not work very well. Just to like report back, not very effective. But,
Thanks.
It just made me desperate to try to control my tics. Now, I think there actually, Christian can probably speak to this better than I can. There are changes in the brain, in the prefrontal lobes, from attempting to make change, to restrain yourself from performing a facial or a bodily tic, but it's not possible. It's not like with more effort, it's the effort itself that makes those changes, but you're not gonna will yourself out of a facial tic. So that left me pretty desperate. And the teachers in school were kind of freaked out by it. I know my parents got called down to school quite a bit to talk to headmaster or guidance counselor, they were called, and they just wanted to figure out what's wrong with me and can other kids catch Tourette's. And I had this problem with Tourette's all the way through my 20s. I don't know what happened in my 30s, but in my 20s, you had the vulgarities, you had the inappropriate facial tics and gestures and body language. And so I moved to England, and then nobody noticed anymore, really. So that worked out pretty well for me. And then my 30s, I went into remission because I don't know, I just think there's a few times when you basically have a decrease in your symptoms, which is one, when you're intensely focused on a certain area of study. Two is when you're involved in physically strenuous activity, like exercise. Three is when you're sleeping, and four, when you're having sex. I don't know, maybe I was having enough sex by the time I was in my 30s because I wasn't such a book nerd anymore. I'm not really sure what brought about the remission, but it kind of leveled off in my early 30s, and it is what it is today.
I find it at like the most fascinating condition. I know I've watched previously a documentary on someone who was a sufferer of pretty severe Tourette's, and the condition itself is fascinating. What was it like through the time you had it? What was it like developing relationships with people and dealing with your self-confidence when there was this lack of control? Like,
eventually, I grew to love my Tourette's because Tourette's was like having a superpower for me. Tourette's, a lot of it is caused by an imbalance of dopamine and norepinephrine. So for me in my 20s, when I started working, my career became more important to me than any embarrassment that any condition would bring to me. Not saying I was no longer embarrassed by Tourette's, but my focus was more outward on other people. I was operating from what I like to call originating intention, although I didn't call it that back then. It's just I was excited for work. But it was like being on Adderall all the time. That's what Tourette's did for me. I was constantly creative. I was constantly manic. I constantly had a lot of enthusiasm. I had a lot of curiosity. I could do things with a voracious amount of energy, especially when my focus. And one of the cool things about Tourette's is it doesn't become a benefit until you're focused outwardly. So when you're in front of an audience, or you're in a small group, or you're in a conversation, it decreases the severities of the symptoms. So what do you look to do constantly? You look for activities that take you out of your own head. So if you take a look at what creates flaws within our performance and what the impediments to performance are, whether it's in any specific role on the job, or whether it's performance anxiety, whether you're working one-on-one or 1 in 100, it's you're turning your focus on you. Am I being received properly? Was that joke just funny? Did that line connect? Do I have enough research to support what I'm saying? And all of this causes one of two things. You either start to think too much, which is where you panic and freeze, or you're thinking too little, so now you're choking in front of an audience. So doing the things that I had to do in terms of meetings, in terms of public speaking in my community, to drive people into the gym, working in team meetings with my staff, one-on-one with my clients and my team, Tourette's was amazing for me. So I became grateful for the Tourette's, and I didn't care if I looked weird because I spent my whole life looking weird. So I was kind of used to it. I just started to learn, well, how do I leverage this? What's different about Tourette's? And in what way can this be something beneficial for me to attain something that's critically important for
me? I love that. And it really resonates because I know, like, I feel like I've got a fascination with adversity and how it develops resilience and how it drives people to succeed. And, which is why I like to bring on people like yourself who have had these enormous successes. And I start to wonder if we didn't have adversities in any form, would we even be driven to get to where we want to go? Like, I feel like we probably wouldn't, because when I look at what has driven me in the past, even when it was just the sport of boxing, and even when I didn't know at the start what was driving me, what was making it. And I did a lot of thinking and writing and talking about it and blogging and still do. But I remember it was a point where I was like, why am I driven to succeed so hard at this sport? Like there's something driving it that I've never felt before. And it was driven by adversity, and it was driven by hard times that I dealt with, and it was driven by a process of self-discovery. And I remember when that all came out, and there were shitty times and there were realizations, but I remember just thinking, fuck, I'm really thankful that I went through what I went through, because I don't think I'd be as strong or resourceful or independent or pig-headed as I am today if I hadn't gone through that shitty stuff. And I feel like when you talked about that Tourette's, like, it was beautiful, because you've taken something that not many people have to deal with, and you've just gone straight to the positive.
I think for a lot of people, values emerge from voids. So what we value most is in direct correspondence to what we feel we lack most or strong suit. So if I feel threatened, or if I feel like I'm not enough, I create an archetype that shows up as a strong suit to compensate for that. So if I felt scarcity and lack, and you don't feel safe, let's say financially, that might give you the drive to work really hard and plan and make sure that you or your family are never in that position again. I remember I was sharing with a client, because I used to do that a lot. I would do behavioral coaching and with friends of mine who were doing the training aspect with certain people. And I remember a really good friend of mine who I respect a lot as a trainer, and she's a brilliant leader, brilliant manager. She was frustrated with a particular client that she had because he wasn't committed. He was lazy and he lacked motivation. He showed up late constantly for his sessions. And when he did show up, sometimes he just really didn't seem like he wanted to be there. And other times he just blew his commitments. They would agree on something on like a Wednesday. He would violate those commitments by Friday. It's like, I'm getting fed up with this guy. This guy's a complete mess. And what was interesting is when you talk to the guy, he came into this country as an immigrant. His parents didn't really speak the language. And it's not like he's a billionaire or anything, but the guy was worth several $100 million. And the first thing that occurred to me is like, what type of person comes into a country as an immigrant from a family that doesn't have a lot of money? They don't even speak the language. And at some point, somehow, this guy is worth several $100 million. Well, it doesn't sound like someone who lacks motivation and focus, who's lazy and can't get his shit together. What the hell's going on? And what you find out from this guy is he loved his dad. And what he took from his dad is his dad was always attentive and always loving. But his dad was also always broke. And it wasn't the fault of the dad. Like, the dad picked up his family and mom and brought them into another country, and they had to start over. But in their community, they had to rely on the generosity of neighbors to give them food, to give them hand-me-down clothing. And he would always see this humiliation on his mother's face. So what he linked up his strong suit was, when I get older and I have my family, when you have a family, you provide for them. And I'm going to make sure that never happens with my family. So he went to work building wealth and starting multiple companies, becoming one of the dominant authorities in his field. And he built that wealth. His family has everything materially they could ever want. But the problem is, to do that, you've got to be on the road a lot of the time. And then when he wasn't on the road, he's working in his home office throughout most of the day. So when he gets out of the office, the time with his family is extremely scarce. So he has this one thing from what he lacked from his dad that shaped his belief systems. But he also has this lesson from the most beautiful aspect of his dad. So these two things merge in his psyche, and they co-create values, but they also create ambivalence, where he wants two things that are in conflict with one another. So if he only has an hour, when he goes to the gym, he knows when he comes home, his family is asleep. So that precious time where he's able to sit in front of the TV, grab some snacks, hang out with the kids, and then after they go to bed, he's able to have that glass of wine with his wife. That supports his highest values. So it's that conflict in values. And his highest one was around abundance and providing, and that came out of what he lacked most. So I think a lot of the liabilities and a lot of the attributes we display later on in life come from those experiences, even though we might not realize at that time, wow, this is a formative experience I'm having. You know, it's a revelation that kicks in many years later if we're even aware of the things that create our psychological disposition for certain choices.
One of the questions I've asked a lot, but I ask it differently now. I probably don't really ask it. One of the questions I was asking people who had been through adversity and shitty things from other people, like yourself as a child, the abuse and physical abuse and the bullying. How do you? And my question was always like, how? Because I see these people like yourself, and you've got so much empathy, and my question used to be, how did you develop that when it wasn't given to you? Now I understand that you don't ever want other people to feel what you feel. You know what it feels like. So I'm hearing that a lot of people, you know, you use that in a positive way. I guess my question is, was there negative outcomes that you had to work on to change in how you treated people or trusted people or connected with people? You know, were there repercussions that took a lot of work psychologically or emotionally for you from that environment?
Wow, that's a deep and brilliant question, and I'll give you my interpretation of it. I'm not gonna say, well, here's the truth of what, because I don't know. This is only a story that I'm telling myself. But from what I remember in my childhood, having values and behavioral traits that were complete polarity to the people around me that were inflicting pain was my way to claim autonomy. Like, one thing, my stepdad hated absolutely everyone, and he was a proud racist. That was one of his more charming attributes. And if I had anybody of any ethnicity or pigmentation up to the house that he didn't approve of, he would make it very clear and very public to those people that he didn't want them in his house. And a lot of times it would resort to violence against me. And my friends would watch that. They'd watch me get slapped in the face. They'd watch me get punched. They'd watch me get verbally abused. I mean, standing there, like, you know, in the lounge room. And I linked up in my head, whatever this guy is, he's a mess. He's disgusting. I don't ever want to be like that. So I think a lot of the lessons I learned were just doing the polar opposite of what I observed him doing. And I don't think that was maybe because I was empathetic. And I've always been like a sensitive, emotional kid, but I don't think it was altruism. I think for me, it was the only form of rebellion that I could get away with in front of him. You know, if I didn't engage in a racist conversation and commentary, which was not my thing even when I was young, it would be met with extreme violence. But anything I did would be met with extreme violence. So at least at that point, in my mind, I was being beaten and verbally abused for a valid reason. Tiff, what time is it? I'm not rushing off. I'm just saying
it is 4:52, and I was about to say I would love any of you guys to jump on with any questions you might have for Bobby before the clock strikes midnight over there, Bobby.
God, yeah, that's got to be a lot better than hearing me just go on and on about childhood things.
John's always got questions. Get your mic off, John. Come and have a say.
Hey, John.
furiously typing away.
You are magnificent. It just never ceases to amaze me how some people they're just good people. And doesn't matter how much shit gets thrown at you, you just refuse to accept that. And just going to do the right thing, no matter what gets thrown at you. So good on you. Just awesome to see. And your passion and enthusiasm for everything is just contagious. And I find that fascinating. And you know, Bob, when you go into places, some people are just assholes. It doesn't matter what their background is, what their circumstances is. They're just going to be a shithead. And others doesn't matter what their circumstances are. They're just, you know, heart of gold, good people. And I reckon you're one of those, mate.
I really appreciate that.
No problemo. I just wonder, what is it that inspires you first thing in the morning when you jump out of bed? What gets into your head? What's the first stuff that you think of?
Well, at my age, it's going for a wee, first and foremost. After that, it's, you know, because Tiff, you had said something around what inspired you to succeed. And for me, I don't think I was ever inspired to succeed. I was inspired to get an opportunity to do what I loved to do, regardless of the outcome. Now, if you stay in, like, the process is the product, like, because we're in fitness, me and you. And if you stay in the process and you do it well enough, the outcome's going to take care of itself. I've seen people derail their career day by day by focusing on the outcome and stepping out of process. So that wasn't a strategy, that was by accident, because the only thing that mattered to me, John, was the process. If I can get up and spend time with my team, that drives me. If I would be invited to speak somewhere in my community, that would drive me and terrify me at the same time. And it was just this fantastic mix of enthusiasm and terror, where it wasn't even about getting up in the morning because I couldn't sleep at night. I had this intense insomnia, not like the insomnia where I text you, Tiff, about like chocolate and binge drinking online.
You suffer from that a lot lately.
Yeah, lately, that's a totally different story. But it was just this anticipation. And that's always what drives me, is anticipation of the next opportunity. Like, I look at doing coaching, I look at doing seminars, I look at just collaborating with my teams. Like my team that I left back in Singapore, I'm having a really hard time because we're extremely close and I miss them. But we do these weekly check-in calls, even though I'm not working with the government in Singapore anymore, and I'm not working with the company, we still stay in touch. So all day, I'm looking forward to 4 p.m. for me, which is the time I get on the call with these guys. So it's always the very next thing that's within the umbrella of my craft. That's what does it.
Mm. Mm.
And Belgian ale. Not first thing in the morning. I'm not a savage.
Don't say it like it's a bad thing. Nothing but Belgian ale any time of day. And it's getting very close to beer o'clock here in Australia, let me tell you.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Well, it's 11 a.m. No, I'm just kidding.
That's close enough.
Have you got anything, Christian, that you wanted to ask, or are you sitting in the quiet corner over there?
That's all right. Just trying to learn how to unmute the system again.
Yeah, I was going to say, you are on mute, so you look like you're about to speak.
Yeah. Now, Bobby, thank you for the talk. It's amazing. I love listening to you. Like Tiff, I'm so interested in the development of people. Just an observation, probably, and a question afterwards. It's really interesting. We talk about development. We had this conversation with Tiff. It was a Wednesday, 2 days ago, and we're talking about how, funnily enough, neurology, the brain's formed via our stimulus of our environment, but a huge part of that happens before the age of 2, right? So we have this super saturation of learning how to deal with life, and it sort of seems like, between the ages of 0 and 2, you must have had a huge influence to mold your concepts and focus and development, because you've done so much relative to, change the years following 2 to 15, 16, 17, 18 would sound pretty crap. And I'm just amazed, like, you've done so well, but there must have been someone looking over you or something, giving you a bit of a tap on the back in the early days, because they've molded your brain in a way which has helped you succeed so well. Have you got any thoughts on that?
No, I don't. Like, I don't remember. Like, I don't know what happened. I know that up until like 1, I wasn't even adopted. So I was in an adoption agency, foster care. And then I don't know, maybe it was the guy who adopted me. From everything that I've heard, it's interesting you say that. With everyone around me, this guy was so loved and such a lovely bloke, and that's all you ever hear about it. I don't know many people that knew him, but the people that knew him say he was just the loveliest guy in the world. He died when I was 2. So as a matter of fact, he knew he was going to die during the adoption process.
Wow.
And he thought, and he used to go to court in literally a wig. And he used to put on makeup because he looked just pale from chemo. And he didn't want to give away that he was actually sick, because he thought, before I die, I'm going to give this kid a home.
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe it was that year that I spent with him that really had, even though I don't remember it, that memory is still there. And that impact still endures. Yeah. And so I never thought of it like that until you.
It's amazing. There's a lot of research out there was talks about this. Our limbic system, our central brain, has this chemical release between the ages of sort of 18 months and 24 months, where just like a sponge, we absorb the environment around us, and that forms our decision making, our stress coping capabilities, our anger management. It's amazing. And like, kids at a young age, they're things that once they're set in stone, but you definitely have a good grounding. It sounds like you've got it. So well done.
Oh, I've got goosebumps from that. Like, that is amazing. That guy's like, that could be. Oh.
Me too. The only memory I have of my adopted father is when he was in hospital. I remember just going to see him, and I remember walking out. He had given me a Hershey ball. It was a chocolate ball. So he put me on this path. So basically, when I text you in the middle of the night and I give you shit about chocolate, it's probably Dad's fault, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you for that, Christian.
Well, that brings us to bang on 5:01. So if no one's got any final words, I might just offer a massive thank you for staying up to a ridiculous hour of the evening over there in Los Angeles, and joining us. You are amazing. Your passion and enthusiasm when you talk on anything is infectious. It's captivating. It's infectious. I love to hear about it. You joke/not joke about brain damage, but you are one of the most intelligent minds. You are perceptive. You have empathy. You tick so many boxes, and I just feel like, given your background, it is so motivating, and I love putting that in front of people, because I just think there's so many different people that can get so many different things depending on their own circumstances by just listening to you, and even knowing that people like you are out there and just kicking ass in the world. So thank you so much. It means a lot that you've stayed up, and we will chat again.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate this. And we will, definitely.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.